so that we have a clear idea about his expertise and what we are supposed to gain from this webinar. So Dr. Karankumar Ramteke is a scientist at CFI. Yeah. It's ICR Institute, Central Institute of Fishery Education in Mumbai. It's mostly working on fishery resource management. His research focus on fish ecology, coastal and estuarine ecosystems, wetland health, and stock structure analysis. That is a fish stock. So contributing to the deeper understanding of aquatic ecosystems and its sustainable use. His ecological research with advanced various tools like geospatial tools like statistical modeling, AI-based approaches to address complex challenges in marine and inland fisheries. He is actively involved in various projects which are funded nationally and including ICR network program which is called NEPA and government of Maharashtra project also. He has done several projects on government of Maharashtra, and for Gujarat also he has done fishery enhancement in Sardar Sarovar reservoirs. Dr. Ram Teke has around 70 peer-reviewed publication in reputed international journals. His contribution to support evidence-based fisheries management, wetland conservation, and climate resilience aquatic governance. So, basically, fisheries nowadays, going to get more and more importance because of climate change. Large area will have this both as a fishery resource under wetland. Plus, there will be challenges because of climate change in fishery. So, I hope to gain good amount of knowledge on this subject. Welcome, Dr. Ramteke. You can start your presentation. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. I want to thank you and Dr. Sonia Madam and Gujarat Ecological Society and all the office bearers for giving me this opportunity to have conversation with diverse audience. And most of them I came to know they are student, postgraduate students. So what I will be sharing, this will be a limited kind of interaction, but what I want to make sure that I will be sharing my contact also, and this may be point of conversation, whether they can start or if any question after this also they can have. That we will can discuss further or at the capacity of the faculty in institutes. Further, they want anything that we can do and we can help. I will try to help them. And in this presentation, my idea will be like what is happening all around the world and India, and what exactly is wetland, and why we need to preserve them, how they are culturally, institutionally, and the governance point of view, how they are part of this, and what kind of different case studies are there. That I will be focusing more. And let me start sharing the presentation. So, welcome to all for this presentation on the wetland as a cultural landscape. As I've been introduced, I'm scientist in ICR CIFE Mumbai. And when we talk about wetland, so wetland is what? Wetland is like ecosystem. If we talk about simply a definition point of view, it is any ecosystem where presence of water may be any throughout the year or the part of the year, and which has like you have delineated with the water table, soil, surface soil, and the water table below that you have saturated and unsaturated zone. And it also has the living component like root ecosystems and the standing waters, which helps to support the numerous aquatic organisms species, which makes them the support the that diversity, where some of them may be economically or in terms of trade they may be important, and some of them forms the basis or the chain from which this commercial component can hold importance. And some of them we can see by presence their value, but some of them has deep rooted cultural significance, spiritual value. So all these, when we consider, that helps to consider the importance of these wetland and ecosystems. So this wetland is just not a formed. It's formed by the like how much of precipitation, rain we receive, river flows, the tidal actions, and the soil sediments, which may be due to the activity which is happening there, and some of them are coming along with the water flow. There are different zones, like based on what kind of wetland it is, whether it is a coastal wetland or it is in a semi-arid area or in upland lake. So what it is, and these all ecosystems, the wetland is has different component, like where we do harvesting, what kind of biodiversity are there, and sometimes we have restricted zones due to the policy governance, and some of them are unwritten but very strong due to the presence of spiritual value. So all these forms the like part of this ecosystem, and it's all also found shaped by the how much contribution they do in the livelihood, maintaining the tradition, and the community involvement for the management of this small or the very important ecosystem. So there is a like people when we talk about wetland or something, so there is a very passive nature myth is that it is a misconception about the wetland that they are a wilderness and desolated system, and that needs to be drained or needs to be developed for their increasing their value or for exploitation this ecosystem. But in reality, when we see, it is not only a wilderness or isolated ecosystem. It is a very much living, and they also form the bonding with a socio-ecological system which has tradition from the historical very long tradition where human water relationship exists. So right from the daily livelihood and the management of these resources directly helps to supports, and the management of the health of the ecosystem depend on the human and this water interaction. So where you have different components. So when we see the ecological foundation, it is a waterlogged area, and where water remains throughout the year or some part of the ecosystem. And they, because of that, it serves as a corridor for migratory organisms, which involves the migratory birds, fishes. Like this is an area where it forms a nursery ground, because the young ones which will be here, they will be young ones of fishes. They will survive and they can avoid the most of the predators, and they can remain here because the kind of buffer zone it provides to all kind of organisms. So because of that, many fishes, birds come to there for a certain period of their time, amphibians for breeding. And when we see the type of wetland, so they normally comes into three types. Like if we want to just classify them based on their characteristics, so they are like marshes, where normally you have grasses and reeds, that sort of plants. And then you have swamps, so which are dominated by woody plants, woody trees, such as mangroves also. And peatland is like where you have kind of dead accumulated detritus on that kind of decayed matters. So all these fill in the peatland. And when we see their cultural aspects, so it shares the human interaction by having the various knowledge on the local customs, tradition, and through which the knowledge passed on from generation to generation. So that's how the cultural landscape and tradition is important. And traditional management also involves like here you do the fishing, which is like mostly non-destructive way. Their fishing is done by the sustainable management, like traps and all. And rice cultivation has been done many parts of the wetland because the water cycle that makes them to have the routine and the rotation basis of crop cultivation, so that one kind of crop or practices cannot be done there. So that's why the people use their local ingenious knowledge, the traditional knowledge, local ecological knowledge, and the indicator what they receive, what information they pursued with the change in the kind of environment based on the appearance of birds, the kind of time of the year when they are arriving. So that all help them to decide whether what will be the situation or what time monsoon will start, and that's how they regulate. And in addition to that, this water body has continuous, most of the water body wetlands, they are connected and making the unnecessary, avoid to unnecessary hazards. In addition to that, it also holds the spiritual and social identity. So in many places, wetland and it has different stories in India also and around the globe. So where the wetland has given the status of that is the god status, where the people worship the wetlands and they practice a certain period of year where they have the festivals and all. So that makes them, even though the society has different kind of hierarchy, all sort of people they come, they celebrate, and this makes the part of the ecosystem and their culture. In addition to that, the what it mean as services it provides. So that we'll be discussing. Like it also helps to support the carbon sequestration. So when we talk about climate change, so carbon sequestration is important. And when people involved, it helps to control the flood regulation. And when you have different crops, rotation-based crop and some culture practices of organisms and all. So what happens? These rotation crops helps to extract the unwanted nutrients or the changes in the water parameters. So that kind of regulation of water quality can be done with that. So when we see the wetland, so what people think or what normally comes into the reports or when we see in the readings, so it always talks about how much of area was there and how much it is there, what kind of species used to be there, and if it is the wetland with such a area where you have the carbon storage capacity, so how much of carbon stock lost because of that. But with that, what we also have the year-old information which was passed from generation to generation. So that information we misses. So the wisdom what we got, the how the rules and the that prevent the overuse and resolve the conflict. So that even though there were not clearly mentioned some of the rules, but local people with their management or the stewardship, which is a responsible management where people involved. So all these things are there that get lost because of that. And the people also celebrate harvest festival. There are sacred geographies which helps to encourage this responsible management. So that all get lost because sometimes people doesn't follow the law, but they also go with the what their grandfather, forefathers have mentioned and the importance of that and the kind of religious or spiritual association between them. So that also get lost and the kind of attachment or the management what they could do that get lost with that. So when we see the cultural landscape, UNESCO has defined it is like an activity which is combined with the nature and humankind. And most productive wetlands have they are shaped by the use of human use for many years, and so we need to managing resources toward the involving people, responsible management. We need to. So the like when we people most of the time they think that it is a ecosystem wetland should be like free from people, it should be isolated place, but it is not like that. But in reality, what we have seen or what from for the very long historical literature and the record says that there is always cultural landscape was there, nature and people were co-existed in the ecosystem. So it is not just a natural resources, they are landscape and people, humans were always the part of that. And human also introduced uh, many domesticated animals and they become the part of that. So every chain or every food items or whatever the function of ecosystem, they were recycled, they used in with their chain So like when we see the wetland or any ecosystem, so there it is a three layer normally. So like what we see is material infrastructure. So like how we have what kind of infrastructure, how we use that, whether a particular wetland, how they are managing, what kind of fishing system, cultural practices, water regulation, what kind of agriculture practices exist there. So that all visible there. But what we also have the semi-institutional or institutional arrangement, which is semi-visible, like Gram Sabhas, the local bodies, or the people who are involved with their temple or the local management. So they are also part of that. So that is also visible. But the layer of the invisible layer is cosmological layer. So they are like cosmological beliefs. So it believes like certain months or certain ecosystems, if we have certain organisms, they are auspicious to see. Maintaining them is a good indicator. So that all makes the like importance of this ecosystem. So there are like in Sundarban, there is deities like where they uh, worship the one devta, uh, one Bana BB, they said one BB. So this one were forests. So they feel that we should like maintain and the harvest of the resources in a such a way that it should not be greedy. We will be harvesting or taking the resources from nature in a sustainable manner. So that is how this Bana BB, where Sundarban has the home for tigers also. So there, if we maintain that, so there is no government appointed body, but these local people who knows the routes and in and around that Sundarbans, they go, they guide the people and they tell you should not do this kind of practices in certain months of time. Or area where already tigers are there, we should not harm that place. Which area should be done? So these are kind of practices are there. So that makes the like in addition to rule, they are more stronger in maintaining and governing the conserving the resources. So what we can see the layer in that, like in Kashmir, there is a floating garden. So it is like on these wetlands, these floating kind of mats are there, and that has been instead of growing on the land and also the this water is being efficiently used there itself, and the many vegetables and fruits are grown over there, and that is being used. So what is this traditional infrastructure focus on the adaptation rather than the changing it or making it converting into different. So this is how it utilize the resources without disturbing the natural resources. And there are these homes in the Brahmaputra river or the Ganga river, that area where you have continuous flooding and all. So where homes are made in a such a way that without reclaiming the land, they have made it in a such a way that even if it is a flood kind of situation occurs, so they can stay there. They know the what is the range, how far they can go. So all this traditional knowledge. So traditional knowledge is like local body of knowledge where you accumulate all the information, and this local then the traditional knowledge, local knowledge, local ecological knowledge is like hyper local, very local information. Even though it is some state or some part of the country, but something will happen very specific to that place. So that kind of local information also they collect. And then the one of the example of these check dams in Bihar, Jharkhand, that area. So where this area is often get flooded with the riverine flow. So what happened? They to control that, not completely control. So what they have made the check dam kind of thing. So where you have the pond which can retain the water, and there that is known as ahar, and these pines. So where you have the channels, so which can the channel will lead the water from that tanks to the agriculture field or whatever crops you want to grow, and this is how the waters will be converted. Waters will be converted. Then you have the local local bodies like Ramsar, which can help to conflict resolution. And there are people which, even if it is resource is not being used by a few people, or if it is shared by as a common resource. So even though it is a common resource, this local body in this layer where you have the controlling authority, local control authority, so they have the access to when to fish, when to not, and so that defines the how the system will reciprocate, how they like get benefited because of following this rule. And this whole village or the whole community depend on that resources can help to also to recover from the whatever cycle of harvesting we are doing. So that is how we need to maintain. So that is what we can see the classic example of mini wetlands. And when you see this third layer in the ecosystem, like invisible layer, which we do not get much of the talk on this, but without which it becomes difficult because there are all kind of peoples, and we need to consider all the beliefs, and that's how the involvement of all the not only people, community as a stakeholder, but also the all beliefs and the whatever the ancient information is exists. So that we need to have the in the management. So this is spiritual beliefs. So where the which provide the kind of strongest protection from all the other management also, where people are not following, they may not follow the rules or policy, but they definitely most of them they follow that we should not go certain area. So where there are some devi deities the spiritual power exists. So that how makes the effective no-take zones in the when we want to avoid the extraction or harvesting of the resources. And when we talk about like the indigenous knowledge in the form of the when we can also talk in the terms of indication of the ecosystem where you do not exist, do not use any sensor or any monitoring. There is no camera, no such thing. But what we can say, people can use these indicators. We can say the bio indicators. So like what kind of migratory birds, whether they came early, and if it is they are early on this, so because of that we this can be presumed as there will be delayed monsoon. Then if we see the health of the flowering plants like palms, so if they are showing good sign of flowering, so means all the weather environmental condition is good, and there will be high fish catch will be there. And in saline water, if coastal area, when we see the high salinity, so which also like they may hamper with the uh, reproduction, the fishes, they take the migratory migration, they come for period of time. So to have the that ecosystem, and when they are young ones, when they breed, they born. So they have less evolved ecosystem, and to have that instead of facing them directly on the more of extreme saline or other environmental extremity, so they come to such ecotone or the buffer zone. So that already if we are matching with the high seed or something, that kind of ecosystem definitely affect the recruitment of such organism, mostly the prawns which comes to the wetland in the coastal area. Then when you have all the information, so like we get kind of variation in the water ecosystem. So this is in the Kerala where they use this rice rotation feed, which is very famous. So what they get in dry season, there is high this thing, less salinity, and then when you have high salinity saline waters, so instead of not doing anything, so what they do, they cultivate the rice, which can withstand the such harsh weather environmental condition, and that also helps to desalinate the soil, and same field then later can be converted for the prawn culture. And there are systems like in Kerala region, so they use this flood retention basins. So where the water can be stored instead of releasing they hold this water and they release based on the how much water can be given back to the system. So that is how they use this water, and this also helps to increase the water holding capacity in that area. And you have this system of when more rain comes and the water is coming out of the channels of river, so that can be stored in pond or reservoir, small reservoir, and that through different channels can be used for different activity of culture, cultivation of different crops and all. So these are some of the design systems. Then we also need to consider that industrialization or converting this land for higher gain and then the what traditional routine practices for that land is being utilized. So what happened, that kind of practices harms the natural system, and when you use either you do even if you have converted that land some part of these or entire land, so what it happens, it spread the it releases the harmful chemicals beyond that, and it interferes with the ecosystem, and then you have chances of the damaging the soil, acidification, erosion, because of the you whatever what where there all the natural ecosystem plants, the protection cover that get lost, and the also since they already damaging the ecosystem, and slowly these part of that ecosystem becomes vulnerable, and they get more of diseases in the form of viral bacterial diseases, and ultimately it costs more than what short time gain we got, but long term it affects uh, where which are difficult to quantify in the terms of finance. So these are the idea of that how why we have the wetland, but there are different wetlands, and they all are not under the Ramsar convention wetland. Okay, so these Ramsar convention is was adopted in Ramsar city of Iran in 1971. And what it is like, it is a intergovernmental treaty which provides the framework for conservation and wise use of wetland and their resources. So if we see in simple terms, so it is like agreement between countries to protect wetlands and keep them functional and collaborate on the across borders. And there are different criteria. There are total 9 criteria are there. So they talks about which criteria, why we are giving them, and mentioning or giving the status of this Ramsar means it also makes us to have more conservation efforts on such kind of such wetlands where we have recognized them for some of the out of these 9 criteria. For some of the criteria, we have adopted them. And when we see the adoption of Ramsar since its inception in 1971, so this convention was adopted in 1971, and it came to global entry into force in 1975. And India has got its accession on 1st October 1981, and it came to full force in existence in India 1st February 1982. So it all mostly gives the talks about the Ramsar framework, talks about the conservation and wise use of wetland through what the local and national actions, and the cooperation from different organization, which is all the like other policies and the other framework. It also like global other conventions. It also talks about achieving sustainable development and managing the ecosystem so that it can support the different functions, can provide the ecosystem services to the humans. So what is wise use in the Ramsar Convention? So wise use is like maintaining the ecological characters within the context of sustainable development. So like Ramsar uses, you use it sustainably, use it for fisheries, agriculture, tourism, flood buffering, and the harvesting of weeds, which used for different manufacturing. Then the what traditional view says is that you should not go, human will not be allowed. You cannot extract anything. It is not like that. You extract but maintain the ecosystem function. Say like in the case of river, we maintain the environmental flow. So like we can use the river, we can make the dams and all. But at the same time, there should be a minimum flow of water. It is not like you completely block the that ecosystem and the very basic function of that system get lost if the when we avoid the flowing the rivers and all like that. We should maintain the we also use the but sustainability. And in that, the ecological character means when we see the wise use, uh, you need to consider the like three component of the wetland: soil, water, and vegetation. Without them, the wetland is has no importance. So they are three main components, and which helps to processes like nutrient cycling, where you get the different kinds of fishes, birds, amphibians, uh, all kind of fauna which comes either to breed or for feed or to avoid predators. So when they comes, they also form the part of nutrient. They comes from one place to another, and the such in mass high number of birds or fishes comes. So they also helps to carry that they were feeding on some part, and they for this next part of their life they are here. So the kind of cycling of the nutrient right from their feeding. So these all their physiological function happens here. So then in addition to that, they also control the hold the water. They helps to maintain the controlling the natural hazard, flood, all these processes they do, and they provide services like they these wetland form the important food source, the protection from the different climatic activities, hazards. So these all form the ecological character. So it is a identity of wetlands. So this is how we need to also have the wise use, sustainably use using this and maintaining the ecological characters. And when we see the which criteria we are mentioning that. So in the Ramsar designation, there are mentioned the group A and group B. So group is like what kind of wetland it is, and group B wetland criteria like it should pass to the one of the criteria. So wetland type in the criteria one, which talks about representative criteria one is talks about rare, unique example of natural or near natural wetland type. And this must be specific to some geographical area. If that criteria, if it is there, these wetland also needs to be conserved and need to be sustainably managed. And then we talk about like how we talk about the when we talks about organism or biodiversity point of view. So criteria two talks about the like whether the wetland supports or it is a habitat for endangered species, species like which are mentioned in the threatened category, whether they are endangered or vulnerable, critically endangered. If such kind of organisms form the either for their life, it forms a corridor for the migration or for breeding, or such organisms comes there. It may be a bird or fishes. So we can see many birds, flamingos, and all, which was the main, you can say the precursor or the main acting force behind the many wetlands in India. Also, they are getting the wetland status for the such ecosystem. Then criteria three talks about biodiversity. Whether the supports, it may not be having the such a red list species or vulnerable species, but maintains the function of biological diversity and important for having such ecosystem to be conserved. Then that criteria comes under criteria three, and then criteria four, whether the wetland supports the critical life stages, provide refuge during adverse condition, drought, storms, and such environmental condition, unfavorable environmental conditions are there, and that kind of ecosystem stabilize the pressure from such natural forces and provide safe refuge to the organisms. And then such life support category, such ecosystem can be considered as a Ramsar wetland. Then waterbird rules, like if you are seeing the wetland which supports the like 20,000 or more individual water birds in that, so that also can be considered to give the Ramsar wetland status. Then if you have like it regularly support the population, when you have estimated population of certain individuals or organisms, and 1% of that population which exists or the subspecies if it exists in that area, then also that water body can be considered for the uh, Ramsar consideration. And when we see the fish criteria in that, like criteria 7 talks about diversity, that wetland, that ecosystem support proportion of major proportion of the indigenous fish diversity and their population are represented by the particular ecosystems. Then such wetland ecosystem is also classified for can be considered for the Ramsar status. And then criteria 8 as where it acts as an important spawning ground, nursery, migration path, food source, or fish stock. So in addition to that, the other wetland dependent animals other than these, if the rule criteria 9 talks about, if this system supports 1% or more of the individual in population of one species, subspecies, or wetland dependent organisms, that may be mammals, reptiles, amphibians, or invertebrates. So then also it uh, can be classified for the wetland. So overall, the point of discussion here is that the when we are talking about wise use and ecological characters, this also forms the important ecological function, because if organisms are exist there, they are continuously coming there. That means the flow, the energy on that ecosystem exists, and everything is under control, so that further degradation can be avoided, giving them the considering this important criteria. And these all the records are maintained in the book, which is known as Mantrax record. So it is a register of Ramsar site where the like it is not a punishment, but it is a mechanism like which supports the technical supports, and also helps to control the development pressure, pollution, human interference, and the like it also helps to make the mechanism to cover the flag sites which needs the attention, and it also gives the Ramsar Advisory Board the missions to management of such ecosystem. So that's all the records kept in the this matrix record. And when we talk about like kind of wetlands we have, so we have around 2,31,000 of wetland, and which almost has 16 million hectare area, which forms around 4.86% of the geographical area of India. And that has like uh, helps in the forms of either they are fishing grounds, and some of them serve as a major grazing areas. Then many of them use for handicrafts like reeds and bamboo craft, making that extraction that use, and the uh, some of them serve as a seasonal farming ground, and some of them serve altogether all the functions. So it is based on where what area and what ecosystem we are looking. If we see that they all comes under the 4 ecological zones. So like northern frontiers area where you have high altitude area where most of them are like more than 940 mean sea level. So 940 mean sea level means MSL there they classify under the most of them are cold water area. And then semi-arid zones of Gujarat, Rajasthan, where you these wetlands are then the regions are salt affected, or most of them are protected areas, sanctuaries, and then river plains, so which is freshwater ecosystems. So it covers mostly the riverine zones of Brahmaputra and Ganges, where you have uh, most of these floodplains, wetlands, and they locally known as beels, then dals. So all these, but they are all wetland and they are formed due to the river meandering activity. Most of them are means also known as oxbow lake, where river meandering river has long channel, long path to cover, and they sometimes they get connected. And when you have close connection, means the river maintain the continuous flow with them, and sometimes these flows means some monsoon time they it get inundated that lakes, that oxbow lakes, that wetland get the flow from water. And what happens, they also harbor the unique biodiversity because they are not continuously flowing. And fishes, then the organisms which came from the upstream, from the high altitudes where the river has originated. So it carries the that organisms and they settle, and most of them like situation becomes such a that harsh condition there. So some fishes, which organisms which are accessory or air breathing apparatus, that kind of organisms only can live in such area. And when we talk about the coastal periphery, so that wetland ecological, so it is mostly considered the talks about the mangroves and estuary. So this is also one important area. So where you have the fishes, it is a corridor for fishes for migration, breeding, and feeding, and uh, the natural ecosystem where which holds the more carbon than the carbon storage than any other waste or any other ecosystem. Uh, so that all has important contribution. And when we see the global data set, so around 6% of Earth land surface in the all around the globe is covered, comes under the land criteria. And when we see the how much of this, almost 411 million hectares has facing declines because of change in the land use cover. Land use means the activity, or they may be converted for some development activity. It has been changed, which also has altered the flow of ecosystem, and because of that, it has been losing the importance, and the that also out of which remaining 25% also the area remains in the poor conditions. And when we compare the India with the world, so we have around 231 wetlands mapped compared to what area we in the world we have is 570 million hectares, and out of which and the almost the Ramsar sites in the world around 2,500 sites, and 170 parties are there for the convention. And when we see the India, we have updated list of 98 wetlands Ramsar sites. And when we see the country wise in the globe, the leading country, so the United Kingdom is the one which has the highest number of wetland sites, 176. After that, Mexico, and we have India with 98 sites. So, but what it has like, there has been a change in the attitude towards this wetland, giving the status of Ramsar wetland. So, which had rapid expanded to which we can see recently there is a rapid expansion, rapid addition of sites, which also indicate that major policy shift. And but we need more of not only making them or designing more of conservation and management attitude also slowly has to be increased in the level of the when we see the how much they have added a number of sites in that same speed, we also need to give management consideration. So when we see the ecosystem of wetland, how this, so where ecology, when you have biodiversity, the environment, the flow of water, minimum water is required, what and the culture, livelihood, and the tradition, rituals exist over there, the beliefs of people. Then in addition to the what policy or the whether it has been considered under wetland framework. So that all needs to be come together, because ignoring them, one of them will not work. It may lead to the failure of the ecosystem. So they are all natural ecosystem, and they are co-produced by human activity. And communities also, the people who all are around there, they also should be part of that. Then only it will work, and that is how the uh, some of the system may work with the local experience, which may not be part of the scientific observation. But if you consider that also, when the involvement of people will definitely helps to improve the resilience of the community and the ecosystems. So when we see the traditional wetland and the what we see the nowadays, the what is happening when we modify the ecosystems. So traditional system doesn't consider to go for the forcing the anything. It talks or the whatever the methods are there, they are all like it gives the chance. They are all passive, or even if it consider the an example of fishing in the coastal water. So what we have seen is that the earlier methods were they were not forcing. When you with the industrial expansion, the extraction or the harvesting of the ecosystem resources become such a way it hampers the future catch. Also, say for example in fishery, they also harvest the juvenile fishes, which ultimately affect the habitat and the ecosystem beds. So what will happen in addition to catching small fishes, it also hampers the breeding. Breeding grounds and the area habitat which where was like kind of more suitable and the organism used to come. So they slowly avoid such area to come. And when we talk about our Indian some of the ecosystems, so in Manipur Lake, Manipur, the Loktak Lake, where you have the floating mats, which is known as Kundi. So these protein biomass islands. So that helps to like indicate when their health is indicates the how much of resources fish it holds, and people live on that, and this also support the fishery, good fishery. But what happens, the this lake which was receiving water from that riverine ecosystem there, check dam and the reservoir was met and the flow has been altered. So people now making the artificial lake. So they are known as Athafam, which is artificial floating circus. So that was created by fishers to aggregate fishes. And then West Bengal, this wetland ecosystem varies. So in East Coast, Kolkata, Westland, so they what they do, 40% of the cost of whatever sewage the city receives, that has been reduced by treating report sending back for treatment. It goes to the these fields, wetland, berry wetlands, which is known as locally berry. So where it has been given, so that also reduce the cost of fertilizers. These nutrient-rich water used for fish culture, and they are continuously extracting this, harvesting the fishes in such water there where the productivity will be high and fishes can grow easily. Then what like classic example in Chilika, Lagoon, Odisha, where fishing here is highly specific based on the depth and salinity zones of the lake. And mostly they do fishing with the, they don't go fishing with methods like active fishing or all. So there are stake nets or the net area like where the fishes can come, what will be the depth and what are the salinity zones. So that decide like what sort of fishes will be coming from the seaside to the this lagoon. So based on that, people with their what you say the knowledge what they have got from the generation that they use for that. And when we see the what they normally fisherman or the community who lives around the this ecosystem, what they do, they make the like where what kind of water flow will be there, how much it will flow, and based on that they have all the practices. So like which month they should go for the planting the seeds and what kind of water will be there. So in such situation, water with high water depth, water table. So they go with the crops like rice and all. And based on that, like what kind of salinity, whether it is coastal environment or it is in the uh, inland area. So they use that kind of variety. And if it is also favoring the this more water, high water means they also go with culturing the fishes. So altogether, the throughout the year, based on the water table available there, so the community use these resources judiciously, and this is what one just we discussed the perfect ecosystem harmony, where you can see the holistic approach for the management, where you consider like which month what we should do continuously, like when you use this combination, low salinity monsoon area, monsoon's time to the post monsoon high saline area. So shifting in this kind of culture practices, rice from the rice, which also makes the more of fertile ecosystem for when you immediately start culturing the prawns there in such brackish water area. So you get more of prawn crops than the what the standalone or the where only farming of shrimp farming exists. This area you have high amount of productivity than the that kind of ecosystem. In the Arunachal Pradesh, this hill model where rice and fish are grown together in the same flooded area. So that is how the ecosystem here supports both the activity and this dal lakes floating plots where farmers plots used for lake vegetation to grow vegetables directly within the wetland and without dependent on the dry land, and the same water the plants can use there. And when we see the community responsibility and the management, responsible management, stewardship. So what challenges they exist there? So erosion control, there is a challenge. Then what community does here? They protect uh, the plants, reed beds, mangroves, maintaining the natural shoreline. That is the challenge community action they do for this erosion control. And because of that, when we see the outcome, when we see the many places, many ecosystem, coastal ecosystem or the river where the get inundated floods occur. When you have such maintenance of such trees in that area, the sediment remain intact, the entire sediment process observed, and there is physical barrier will pass. And when we see the salinity management kind of challenges, if we know the precise timing of water when it should be there, so what many places they have this storage of water and protecting this buffer with water and exchanging the water, so that also helps them to have the crops. And when we talk about flood, then using floodplain as a seasonal storage or adjusting the flood based crop based on the flood calendars. So which helps to uh, use of the clearing the water and reducing the intensity of flood. That also when you do the community stewardship or the community involved responsible management, when all the people who are involved in that, they consider this importance of that and what uh, negative impact it can cause. So that is where the community stewardship has important role. And when we see the indigenous indicators, so like when people are observing the arrival of birds, whether water turbidity, clarity is there, whether it has changed, the plantation, vegetation has changes, or the fishes wish to spawn, whether they are coming on what side, whether they are breeding, they are spawning or not. So that continuous observation, then which leads to the processing into the get the decision like whether the fishes which are based on their spawning period, whether they are small or large, so whether it is time or not. Then vegetation changes and the clarity of water, the what clear water or kind of foam we are getting, or whether what kind of water it is, what color it is. So that helps to understand when to fish, whether it is a productive time or not, how long they should be doing harvesting. And because of that, what it happen is that you protect the ecosystem, you protect the habitat, and also avoid the uh, fishing overexploitation, or when overexploitation leads to the collapse of fishery. Collapse of fishery in terms means when we talk about fishes, we know the stock we take normally fisheries. So based on length and weight, people estimate the stock level. What is the like? It is like virtual assessment. You try to understand what was there in the back and how how far it can go. So if you know that, you estimate that. But when you know the what all are the component of ecosystems, you try to manage them, and whatever assessment you have, potential catch and all. So based on that, if that out of which the parental stock, you are continuously fishing on large size of fishes, uh, like tuna or some predatory fish, because of they are fetching good price, but you are not considering the long terms. So what will happen? The parent stock will go down, and if it goes down to 20% out of 100%, if they are continuously fishing, that overfishing will leads to the collapse of fishery, because will not be enough uh, fish to reproduce young ones, and that collapse will slowly leads to the extinction of that fishery. So when we need to understand that signals, and based on that, what uh, do we get? We need to make it into high resolution information, and that most of the time the science misses. So that's why this can be taken as an early warning signal, and that's how the involvement of people. This is how you say the participatory management, co-management, where local bodies are involved, and their observation also given the due importance. So like these indicators they are like biotic or abiotic. So abiotic means you check on the water quality, you talk about the soil health, and when you see the biotic, so living organism you see, you talk about the sentinel organisms, like the organisms which are very unique to the ecosystem, and their presence in certain months or throughout the year, where their flowering patterns and how they succeed in their life cycle. So that all when we observe their these life phases, and the many wetlands they harbors, they support the migratory birds. So what months they comes and what months they goes for feeding, they goes back to their native places. So all these they are all connected with the ecosystem loops, and they all are part of this. So soil health, it is a lab of the that ecosystem. So quality of soil health indicates the how what kind of productivity it supports, what kind of pressure it is there on that system, and that all will reflect in the water body. So if it is already damaged, then water will show the less productivity, and which will support less phytoplankton or the primary producers, which in turn affect the nutrient status, the fishes, and the breeding. So there are different fishes. They are interrelated. They may not be commercially important, but they form the food of the different fishes. So this is what we observed in the coastal fishes in Kerala, Karnataka, where oil sardine and mackerels, they exist kind of success of one fishery depend on others. So these fishes they feed they may not be a carnivorous fish, but they are juveniles. They feed on each other. So high number of oil sardines support the high or the lucrative or good fishery of mackerel. So these all are they are related, and this fishery supports the avian fauna, bird fauna, the other predators who exist over there. So they are part of the ecosystems. And when we see the soil condition also, it is represent the memory of that ecosystem. So like what is happening over there when we see the soil quality, it gives the like what residue it exists on the soil and the whether the structural stability is there. So then the what kind of water current there it is facing. So all this information we get with this, the like stickiness or texture. So this all will tell what kind of crops uh, the ecosystem can support for long run. So that all also the indicators which also people, indigenous people, they check their colors and the texture and all, they can understand. And it is also observed that the migratory birds in the Sambar Lake in Rajasthan, Chilika Lagoon in Odisha. So what they have observed that when certain months of time, like when we have the good quality of environmental condition there, so that only triggers or favors the arrival of this water, the birds, which migratory birds come to the population. So it's all linked and like biotic signal, what we can see, uh, plant like other organisms, they cannot avoid migration. They will be there, but their germination and their growth will be affected. And that is what we can see in case of the like Loktak Lake in Manipur, where you have floating mats. Uh, when such like uh, quality of when the quality get damaged because of reduced water flow of this quality, so that's also affect the quality of the dependent organism like fishes and all. And when we see the mangrove health, the Gulf of Kutch, Gujarat area, and also what happens. So, like when you see the changes in the time of the flowering, germinations of these mangrove trees, so these all can be is an indicator of the something is bad with ecosystems and the shift in the like Sundarban where uh, freshwater replacement of freshwater plant with salt tolerant variety. So that also signals the system, the organisms, and the support system of that area, which was known to be a particular area, plants and all, they are being replaced and there is change in the ecosystem. So all these are the some representative biotic signals. And abiotic signals like when you see the watercolor turbidity, so which indicates that whether there are increase in the load of pollution, the quality of water is getting damages. So and the if it is like you can see the more of foam on this water, then that may be the water is getting stagnated and there is a reduced flow in water somewhere and it is being not flowing continuously. It has been released in some frequency. So that's all it indicates. And when you see the more of clear water, so we can see that there are like more of uh, continuous flow of water is getting than the what it was supposed to them. So all these like people takes them into planning management in the this wetland area, and this is how the rhythm of this water is the driver or the you can say the main part which drives the ecosystem health, and that's where people who all are depend on these, maybe their agriculture practices or culture of fishes. So they check on that and they try to predict the what will be the outcome of that. And this continuous survey from these indigenous ecological indicators are important. They form the like help for the uh, defining the times for farming, fishing, or the grazing, or the collecting the weeds for weeds, bamboo, or handicraft making. So which also indicates the health of the ecosystem. So collecting such information always gives the uh, preparedness. Maybe whether the if birds are not coming or the what kind of predators are there, or it may be the sign of natural calamities like floods or all. So that people take as a based on their daily overall observation. In addition to that, there are organisms like this fish from Kerala, which is known as Kareem, the passport Europe Troplosuratensis. So these also like gives the like uh, whether they are what kind of gills it is there, whether they have shown any spot on coloration change in the gills area. So which is supposed to be bright red, or whether that color has faded away or what. And then if there are dark spots on their dorsal parts, so that all indicate they are facing the condition like less dissolved oxygen, increase in salinity level, and the rise in the temperature. And such more number of spots are there, they indicate the chemical toxicity. So which when we don't have such kind of acute pressure on the fish, so they will be devoid of, they will be clear of this any this kind of sign. So that also indicates. And when you people also observe their indication like fishes are coming to surface and gulping air, they are making bubbles. So which taken as a indicator of critical oxygen crash, algal bloom, pollution trace, and fishes if they are moving away from the weeds from shallow nursing area. So there definitely it means vegetation is losing their importance due to siltation, or more number of predators or invasive species have start trying to establish there. And when we see the changes in the arrival timing of fishes, whether they are coming early or late, so which indicate the shift in seasonal rhythm, altered water flow, or the climate variability. And then if some fishes are dying sudden die off, so that is like toxic inflow is coming. Unusual tones or colors, so that also indicate the pollution exposure. Size reduction of fewer mature fish, which indicates the over harvesting. So that is what like if we harvest the fishes, mature fishes, so they try to next time they try to reproduce early than their normal size. So that is like continuously we keep on harvesting them. So they also want to cope up with that continuous fishing pressure. Then few species lost and some species are dominating. That is happening in the most of the exotic fishes or invasive species which came unintentionally, which had been unintentionally has been brought back from different territories, and but they are colonized and they can live in more number or more in harsh condition. So that also when you have such species, that also indicate that there has been alteration in the ecosystem. So when like this condition, when you have healthy vegetation, that also indicates the fishes will be more. So that's where the Manipur, this Kundi, if you have the like activity or intensity of fishing will depend on the how good the that floating mats use, what is their health of that vegetation. If that is there, so people will go more on such area for fishing. Otherwise, the fishing efforts will be avoided to go there, it will be reduced. Then there are observation also related with the water birds. So wetland water bird integrates signal across entire spectrum, right from the food availability, vegetation cover, human disturbance, water depth. So when we see the fish population comes and there will be increase in the vegetation density. So and the good level of waters are there. So that all like combinedly shows that the birds will appear, and the birds are there means the fishing for that season will be good. So all these are indicators. If you are using these birds, so that also indicates the quality and the quantity of catch we are expecting for the ecosystem. So that was recorded from the Ecology. So arrival of such birds are indicator of that. The bird pattern is like when you observe the lower number of migratory birds, so means the organism which on they are depend and the water depth they require or the habitat is degraded. And if there are changes in the arrival or departure time, so the prey timing has already affected. So once their cycle has disturbed, so all the what you say the phenology, the chain of event in their life cycle will be altered, disturbed. And like observation on what kind of organisms are there. So there are two types of organisms, like they are generalist or specialist. So generalist means they can feed on, they can live on any ecosystem, and the specialists are like they are such kind of organisms. They feed on certain kind of prey. They want to have a certain range of temperature, and if that has changed, so it automatically indicates that the normal uh, population or the assemblage have changed of these organisms. And if you more of specialist or generalist are exist, that means habitat structure and the quality of wetland parameters have changed. And these organisms started feeding near to shore or near new patches of the water body. So that means the water level has been changed, and the prey on which they were supposed to feed that has been shifting. So that are the indicators. And there are important ecological engineers like crabs and bottom dwellers. So they check on the sediment quality, tidal health, and like if they are disappearing from mud flats, so mud flats. So that also indicates the like decline in water quality, pollution, and number of burrows if they are less. That itself also indicates the organisms are not there; they are moving, and if it also correlated with the when you have less number of burrows, so the mangrove new germination of mangroves, roots of mangroves also will appear less there. And like other borrowers or bottom dwellers like mollusca declines, like it also indicates the oxygen stress there and high turbidity in that area. And when we see the prawn and shrimp drop in catch, so they like it also linked with the environment and habitat loss. More juveniles or fewer adults means excessive harvest is happening over there. And when you have these soft shell prawns means or unusual smells, that means the water parameter, the quality of water is not enough to support the that molting, the process where the crab shed their exoskeleton. So that has been affected due to the quality of waters. So these are the indicators which indicate the water quality is getting damaged. And in addition to that, there are this tadpoles. Uh, they where they are like if they are there. So what indicates like when if you hear the less number of intensity of frog calls, the sound they make. So that is like uh, there is already the food chain where in the form of aquatic insect is declining, and that indicates water in insect like dragonfly and the other larvae of these insects, they are not there, and that means the pesticide is more of coming there. Habitat is fragmented, and such a low oxygen on the will help damage their uh, sub habits or the niche where they are supposed to be fed on, and the which leads to the loss of such microhabitats. And the such microhabits definitely will help will damage their prey predator relationship which is over there. They may not be commercially important, but they damage the entire ecosystems, can damage over the period. And also one of the function of mangrove uh, wetland, estuarine wetland, where you have mangrove bed exists. When we see the tropical rainforest tree compared to the mangrove plant, so mangrove sequester more, at least 10 times more carbon than the this tropical rainforest. And when we see the atmospheric carbon dioxide level, which was uh, less than 200 ppm. So now which is going to around 420 ppm level. So this is with the more of industrialization and the release of carbon dioxide. But we also need to manage that. That can be helped with can be done with the coastal ecosystem where blue carbon can be stored. So root structure where the carbon can be stored in the autochthonous carbon, like where the ecosystem itself store in their roots. And there are autochthonous carbon, like carbon in the water, which comes from the different ecosystem. So, which can be stored or kept in the ecosystem that blue ecosystems. And in that, what we see if we consider it in the form of wall or the same area where we can keep this mangrove as a store. So this wetland, PT waterlogged organic matter rich area supports the deposition of this mangrove carbon layer in that soil around 2 to 6 per year. And this speed form this which is the decayed matter built up for the century and that remain in the that mangrove ecosystem. Uh, but problem is that the ecosystem also getting the warning or the threat because of the increase in the sea level rise. So that create one of the issue. And when we see the pyrite formation due to when we see the underwater mangrove ecosystem where sulfur and iron they form the pyrite and they lock the carbon along with them inside this ecosystem. So that remain trapped there. And in addition to that, the when we see the ecological engineers, so they are herbivorous crabs. So what they do, they also serve the ecosystem purpose. They are the one who make the allogenous carbon resource. So what they do, they convert this plant, they disintegrate, they feed on that, and they also helps to disintegrate this plant, and that also making the burrows. So they with the biodegradation process, they enhance the soil health, and the this 30 to 90% of lead goes to the underground area based on the area to area. So if they are not there, or if there is increasing pressure on such uh, organisms due to fishing pressure or the harvesting of such organisms, such fishes, so that damage the ecosystem. Like the fishes here, also they comes from the offshore area, they comes to the mangrove, and like from one place they feed on, and the other place they release the what they excrete the nutrients in the mangrove. So they also form the important function in that case. And when we see the fishing pattern or their trophic relationship, removal of large size fishes may increase the meso predators of the fishes, subsequent level of fishes. And what they will do, they will start feeding on this crab or crabs, and crab, which also forms the important part in the mangrove area, whether releasing the carbon, disintegrating these leaves, and helping the making that process easy because it is different from the what we are seeing in the inland or the freshwater ecosystem where the mangrove area reach in this less oxygen condition, which makes difficult to disintegrate such things. So that's where the crab, even though they may not be these mangrove crab, they may not be used for consumption, but they serve the most important ecological function. So what we see the importance of such wetland or the ecosystem, estuarine ecosystem which harbors the mangrove. Living biomass like trees or plant, they store around most up to 20% of the living biomass. And when we see the carbon, amount of carbon per hectare, 400 to 1000 megagram carbon per hectare. And they also store around at least 98% of the soil carbon, 70 to 98% of the carbon they stores. So that's why their importance is more. And it is not like nowadays, many firms in industry, they talks about like carbon neutral product. So carbon restoration is important. Like many industries and the societies, they are cultivating the practice of making carbon in carbon market, blue carbon credit, where they plant the mangrove plantation, the other blue carbon ecosystem, where one credit of this carbon, like 1 ton of carbon dioxide removed, where the one credit is equal to 1 ton of carbon dioxide removed. So there, this carbon can be traded, and auditors like Vera standards are there. So under their methodology of VM 0033, so where the gold standard for blue carbon exists, with that this can be traded. With they make the audit of this, and India also making started providing such regulation and the compliance of that global standards. Only problem what we have, there is a threat with the deforestation on developing the lands from infrastructure. So where you damage that ecosystem and increase in the sea level rise also already with the climate change, it is there, which is not avoidable. So that also creating problem, the area which is going more under the water, and the area available for such ecosystem to exist is also reducing. So that all threats are there. And when we see the future scenario, so there is like two way. When we see the representative concentration pathway for climate change, which also talks about if climate change as in increase or the speed of climate change increase with the develop like 2 degrees Celsius. So what will happen? So it is like predetermined. So what will happen? If mangrove will slowly will adjust to such ecosystem changes, but extreme nobody is taking care of anything, and sea level will rise in such cases more than 1 meter. And like RCP 8 talks about that, where nobody will business will be as usual, nobody take care of think about anything except development. So in that case, see such ecosystem will be losing its uh, the way, the value of storing the and supporting the ecosystems. To have this thing like in Indus Delta, very like famous world largest blue carbon projects exist, and they are trading their uh, carbon credit to the developed nations. And Indian government also has given the initiative in the uh, Mangrove Initiative for Shoreline Habitat and Tangible Incomes 2023, where the blue carbon and carbon sequestration have encouraged, and will be rewarded with that in that scheme. And when we see the other system all around the world, so La Mujana wetland in Colombia, where they like community involvement, where uh, the people were involved from 20 graduates from traditional knowledge, and with that water were used, the flood waters was used to move through the channels were made. So that was like Genu rays and the that furrow. So where canals were allowed got made from the that ecosystem, where the fish along with the crop cultivation can be done, and the water remain, uh, which could have make the impact to human life, negative impact. And then floating agriculture and seasonal flooding was also in the like Kenya Undiri wetland, where the youth were involved in the restoration project, and integration of seasonal grazing bans and protection of sacred trees were helpful to reduce the flood risk, where initially all the management plans were not able to get the result. When the revised process, when they involved the youth and they made them the part of the management authority, so management process, decision and the policy, so it has given good result. And when we see the Laos Nunki Lake village, so the wetland here provides 30% of the household income, and preservation of ecosystem has pursued more importance than the development. So people they came together, and here also the people realize the importance of household income, what they can get. And then Amanjule wetland in Ghana. So here community was there. It is part of that, and what they are doing, they are community involved, but planting was practiced. In addition to that, beekeeping training also introduced for sustainable livelihood. So what happens because of beekeeping and planting, it has induced more of germination and the plantation. The more success rate was observed, and in Panama, Gulf of Montijo, so community were given their observation on the climatic indicators were taken into consider, and with that the revised co-development restoration plans were made, and which was successful, which shown their successful result. And in case of Chilica Lake, so Chilica, what it was observed in 90s, conservation is versus 2 lakh fishes were there, so fishermen were there. So there was conflict for the conservation of dolphins, and they said nets are catching more of dolphins, and dolphins are also uh, damaging the nets, and this is how they are also losing their livelihood. So what integration was done. So the people who knows the science and the elders, the fishermen who knows the what kind of month and what environmental condition triggers the arrival of these aquatic dolphins there. So with that, they map the breeding zones, and with the help of scientists, they redesigned the net with the acoustic reflectors. So this particular range of acoustic wavelength, which deters this dolphin to come around the net and damage the ecosystem. Because of that, the dolphin population stabilized, and almost 150 individuals were recovered to get entangled and lost their lives with this net. And this has created the new dolphin guardian ecotourism program for the people who are involved in this area, these organisms. Then one example from Loktak Lake, where the Sangai deer is the uh, indigenously and the locally available in that ecosystem only. So hydropower has reduced the water level. Because of that, the water reduced water leads to the root of this from the floating mats started rotting, and because of that, deer population has dropped to 200. To avoid that, the community itself they came together, and they also made the artificial ecosystem there, where they can keep that, and the at least where water is available, that area the plant can be the floating mat can artificial mat can be arranged, and with that the increased vegetation we have started coming there, and which makes the shelter for them, and the population has recovered from 200 to 260 for the Sangai deer. Then we talk about the local beliefs, so which is important in protecting the ecosystem. So one of the case from the Sundarban, where the Van Devta, the Vana Bibi, which negotiated with the tiger spirit, it is a myth, and humans only granted the entry when they show the some care, the restraint about the ecosystems or the harvesting. So the rule is that no greed, take only what you sufficient, what you is sufficient. You cannot make loud noises or harming the other animals, and harvest distributed to widows and crews. So it is not a government appointed any body, but local villagers, they are doing this as a conservation duty, and it is more valid and more followed than the law itself. Then East Kolkata, where the innovation in 1930, the community developed system that say 40% of the Kolkata sewage, and it saves the around $200 million per year for the treatment plant, yeah, by letting the algae to grow, and this algae utilize the what you say the excess amount of nutrients are there that stabilize that converted that can be formed that forms the part of productivity of the ecosystem, which itself increase the carrying capacity if such water is used for the fishing field. Uh, and then same water with the all this recycling can be treated in the treatment plant for the clean use. Then this is from the Genu people of Colombia. So they have made the revitalization program. They initiated the program revitalization of mother Earth, and they involved the uh, student in 5 year undergraduate program. So where it was all on traditional ecological knowledge, and 24 schools were there. We were offering such course, and they become the they not only protect the plant by protecting the plants and managing the carbon stock by maintaining this garden. They also uh, maintain the different variety seeds and the genetic what do you say genetic uh, germplasm for the these seeds and the different resources which were getting lost the advent of the seeds which was came into the market with the different private company. So that also germplasm they have maintained in that. And so in other capacity management, where Calcutta, Assam, where the skilled architecture and strong social network helps to, without damaging the ecosystem and without leaving the ecosystem, they maintain that structure there itself to a kind of more flexibility they made with the nature. And diversification was done in the Kolkata wetland, treating the drainage, sewage treatment, acting as a drainage management in non-lake village of where Laos loudspeaker give early warning system based on the community observation, and almost 80% of the population reached on the safe zones when they know the what kind of natural calamities they are going to face. So that all help them to control this. And then this one tribe from the USA. So what they have done is like they were facing wetland deterioration, and but in addition to that, there was no such recognition of such damage to the ecosystem due to there was no documentation, proper documentation. So what people has done, they started participatory mapping, and the which was later combining with the traditional ecological knowledge. So what knowledge exists over there in the people, so that was combined, and what they have made, they mark that area as a zone red. So where they are facing more problem, and with that, these code were given, and that leads to making the public map and the protects when where are the sacred sites are there. So which empowers the federal government to recognize these and make it as a cultural heritage site. So this one case from Okangao Delta, so which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So there was management plan, and it was all without involving people, and then it totally was not able to uh, conserve the organism, the ecosystem, but the mechanism was reintroduced. Then once again, people and the local people were community were involved, and then their knowledge and where the what kind of management is required, and what are the distribution of different animals over there, animals, birds, and the where what zones can be protected. So that all information combined, and it became a side where this is the only the successful side in the UNESCO World Heritage Site where this all people along with the uh, wilderness, the organisms, biodiversity all exist, and people also get employment here. So when we see the wisdom pillars of wisdom, so like uh, like how you cope up with the hydrology in the form of engineering, but from the design or the idea and the knowledge uh, what the people received over a period of time, that when you combine how you can stay over there, then when you how we can manage the ecology by understanding the biology, the ecology, like when you recycle the waste and the when you integrate the different farming, cultivation of rice and all. So how you can reduce the direct using that direct water direct for some other purpose and then making them more useful and reducing the pressure on the ecosystem, and indicators like observation based on these plants, animal behavior, star pattern, and that all also helps to manage the ecosystems. And what is methodology is required there. So like traditional knowledge, so it is like a belief or practice developed by community. Then local knowledge is like what place based information we have, and it is like hyper local, very specific to the location. So that is like local ecological knowledge and transmission. So it may not be publishing them into a report or website or writing a blog, but the how the information grows from the folk songs or tales and proverbs, and this information pass on from generation to generation. So this is the like what we have seen in the furrow based management of canals and environment provides. So where when you have this kind of information, you manage that, and the social resilience, like where existing cultural norms create strong networks, collective action during disasters, that is important. And when you, with their traditional knowledge, when you know the historical baseline for centuries of the observational data, when integrated in the participatory management, definitely will give more light on the climate change anomalies like difference in the pattern. So that, and if we involve with the traditional knowledge, so that definitely will help to solve the many issues which cannot be directly or linearly seen. The ecosystem doesn't work with linear like we see the we add feed to organisms and it will grow. The ecosystem doesn't grow that way. So when we see the such anomalies which cannot be linearly mapped, that time traditional knowledge will help. And like the science with indigenous knowledge, when you have trained global data set and indigenous knowledge like empirical relationship, uh, ancient information, so which definitely in the holistic information where you are connecting all the ecosystem part. So that definitely will give the resilient climate solutions. So there are gaps between local reality and models. So like threats are like wetlands are like they are continuously on the trend line. They are facing the climate in the form of intensified flood or the drought or the changes in the water cycle. Then whatever models are or the information are published that never consider regional situations. So that makes difficult them to apply, and the adaptive capacity that needs to be considered, that is lacking such opportunity for strengthening the adaptive capacity of local wisdom into the such policy that is there. So in empowering community-led adaptation, so we can see the community-based monitoring in Ghana, where what they have done, where they involve the uh, hydrological profiling, the what kind of water body is there, and the biodiversity monitoring. So where when they involve the people, 60,000 trees monitored by the community, and that was successful. And right-based approach, where based on the involvement of people, and when they have involved this uh, people over there, 300 and more community members, they involved in planning, and they have given the right based approach. They were the one who were involved, and they were the one who were given first access to the sustainable harvest of these resources. When you adopt that, then it works. And like uh, SDG 14 also talks about the spatial planning, where you also consider the uh, what can be the harvesting cycles, timing resources, tidal variability, like mapping the water level and the erosion processes, identifying the vulnerable shorelines. So that all also need to integrate it to give the more coastal regulatory mechanism design framing. And there are threats like displacement is there, cultural changes and marginalization. So displacement, like tribal community, they are forced to relocate due to loss of wetland and their sacred sites. And when we see the cultural changes, like what traditional management we can see for the using the sewage or the water which pollutant. So the kind of view of the uh, point of view for that system is not there, which was there in earlier of the elders, which is getting uh, which is losing with uh, by the younger generation, and marginalization when uh, local knowledge or the information which was there, which considered as unscientific and that is not given due consideration, like planning or framing anything, or their observation was not considered. So that marginalized the community, and slowly they also lose their interest in there. So what are the principle for that? Like their respectful and equitable partnership should be there. Instead of only taking the information, uh, they need to be, people need to be community, need to be involved, like research building, relationship involvement. So which was there in observed in the point view chain tribe researcher building, where they not only where the only information was not collected, also to they were made the part of the researchers, part of the research. And we need to see the principle of bridging methodologies. So like we need to have the participatory mapping. So what using the privacy codes and the private prioritize intervention without revealing sacred site, that if that information they can give, and that will be like uh, that can be protected the where what sacred site and where which area should be avoided. So that kind of participatory mapping is required. Then scenario planning, like Gulf of Montijo in Panama, where the local people can interpret the climate risk. So they can help to adapt when you want to scenario planning for adaptive management plan. They such kind of strategy needs to be applied, and the integrating traditional knowledge into formal university education, like which was in the case of Genu educational plan, where a 5-year degree program was made to conserve the germplasm and the carbon stock. So that kind of methodology, bridging methodology is required. So what it is like, knowledge is like accumulated body of skill, practice, developed, sustained, and transmitted from one generation to another within countries, within a community. So that's why we need to respect that, and that is the part uh, which new researcher, where you involve the people in the maybe it is a participatory GIS, participatory management, or community involvement. So that most of the time the researcher lacks. Even the observation from taken from there, that it can be taken. So it is like validation of the or the uh, giving due recognition to community will be always there. So only taking the lab-based observation, or taking the sample in the taking the sample and taking the making the reading will also will be supported, and will be make good point if we take the locals into the consideration. So what if we need the, if we want to develop that, we need to community site planning. Then what indigenous resources are there, their regulation, harvesting, that require, and the when we monetize it, we also need to make the how they can be make into the blue economy criteria, and they're based on that. Once they're putting the uh, ecosystem valuation and resource tag, we need to have the regulation of these resources, and participatory governance definitely is needed. If we do that, so like it will helps to enhance the ecological sustainability and also support once you have the uh, healthy sustainable ecosystem, which definitely can support the people who are dependent on that ecosystems, who the true owner of the ecosystems. So they their livelihood will be strengthened with that. And when you have the livelihood with the integrity of ecosystems, so definitely these policy, such kind of policy framework support sustainable traditional fishery and community-based ecotourism. So which definitely helps to reinforce the inclusive growth while maintaining the capacity of the resilience, where the even if sometimes whatever you have measured or the scenery you have, if it is going uh, deviating from that. So if you have good maintenance of the sustainable ecosystem, so that will definitely support the livelihood in terms of the integrity of ecosystem, and which directly support the resilience of the ecosystems. So that's why we need consultation, not only consultation. So we need to go with the co-management. We need to move and asking the opinions from the opinions to their definitive roles for the conservation and management. That is important. So what we can say in the way forward is that the uh, whatever policy, if it is there, we should always try to incorporate traditional knowledge within the planning process. We should have their observation if it is a research study or any observation you want to take, and you also need to establish long-term management rather than the giving any temporary suggestions. And it is like we need to anyhow we should prevent the loss of ecological knowledge, knowledge which accumulated over the uh, historically it has been there, which was passed from one generation to another generation. So we need to prioritize documentation and transmission. So traditional knowledge is a disappearing resources, and we must prioritize intergenerational transmission to ensure future custodian to understand the landscape. So that's why when we see the stories and all that we can see, and recently what I have seen here in Maharashtra, they have developed AI policy, and in that they have made some apps. So this tribal district of Maharashtra here, the buffaloes and the other animals, what they observe when they are getting milk from these buffaloes and all. So these traditional tribe women, they sing a folk song, and whenever they do that, the milk yield is increase, and they give respond more to this milking process. So this government has also made the that kind of app where the such resources has been kept on record and it is freely available. So such kind of knowledge need to be stored, and like everywhere, whatever the information is there, that needs to be kept in such uh, custodians, so that the future will understand the importance of this wealth. So what we can see, interdisciplinary collaboration, scientists, not only scientists means researchers, academicians, and the policymaker, indigenous knowledge is required. So which will help to form the adaptive wetland management plan. And the more effectiveness of such plan definitely then will come rather than keeping them on the paper, when you have the integration of scientists, policymaker, and indigenous peoples. So at the end, what I want to say that what we can say, wetlands, they are not just they are not wasteland. So they are the like critical ecosystem for water security, biodiversity, human livelihood, and many more we can do with maintaining them in such a ecosystem as such. So then only it will helps to have this tradition, the ancient information. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such elaborate and wonderful presentation. From covering the definitions of wetland, the types of wetland, from covering how the Ramsar sites has been designated, and sharing the different examples from Manipur, from Kerala, from West Bengal, and in fact, sharing the much valuable ecological character, the formula, the take, and the indicators you have, altogether helped and shared with us to design the altogether studies for the researchers, that how we can design, what are the indicators we can take when we are dealing with wetland conservation as well as the cultural landscape, and the people involved in it, the stories which you have told to us and shared with us. It was truly immensely wonderful and full of knowledge. Before taking much time, I would like to open the platform for Q&A. People can unmute themselves, or you can put your question and answer into the chat box.
Thank you, ma'am.
So over to all everyone, sir. You can, sir, you can stop sharing your presentation. And the praises are already pouring into the chat. Sachin is telling wonderful and knowledgeable session. Truly it was. And in fact, the slides were also top notch. We didn't get bored at all. And Shreya is telling wonderful education, very detailed. Thank you. And respected sir. Uh, Okay, Neeraj has a one important question according to you that he's asking. What are the priority research areas or major research gaps in wetland studies related to climate change that researchers need to focus or explore in India? So Neeraj, thank you for bringing this in, and over to you, Karan sir.
Yeah, thank you, madam, and thank you, Neeraj. Like if, what I can say, like if we seeing the global trend, what people are doing, and like what is the focus of research all around the globe. So that always you have to see, and you can simply search on Google Scholar. You just can see the make changes the year and the themes of national, international agencies, what policies are coming up. So what we are seeing, like climate is the burning topic, and it will be always. So, but we need to have what we say concrete evidence of that. And what I told you, like that carbon sequestration and the role of crabs, the burrowers, organisms who lives in the bottom, specifically that mangrove estuarine coastal zones. If that kind of study you do, most of the studies they are on like secondary observations, carbon sequestration values or how much they hold, like simply some calculation like this much of mangroves areas are there, and they do the allometric equations. They take the mangroves, what you say, diameter, and simply calculate. So that is also there. But if you can do some experimental study, like feeding this crab with different crab mangrove leaves, and which of them feed on what level and all. So that kind of study, and some small study like increase in with thermostat or something like uh, more of which view can give the some indices, some value it can give. So rather than having known mangrove area and you are dividing by something, uh, such kind of observation if you can do, and you also can link with the trophic models, food and feeding patterns. So most of the points we discussed here, they are all researches only, research ideas only. So like what kind of organisms are there, how much is their biomass. You simply can study their biology. Biology means food and feeding habit. And for some information, no need to, like if it is system where aquatic mammals or sharks are there, everything we cannot dissect and see. So that secondary observation you can take, and for that EcoPath EcoSim model is there. So that model is freely available software, and there are a number of papers available, and they also talks about like they have collected information on different papers. Fish-based website is there where you get a lot of information. So there are three parameters is required, uh, like biomass. So biomass you can estimate based on the how much catch we got, or you can also calculate from the what kind of fishing method they are using, or how much catch they are getting year round. If that information from fisherman you can get, or if it is a trawl, you can take swept area method. That information, then total mortality is required. That is population parameters. That is also available in research papers that you can source. And what you can say, the consumption biomass is required. So like what kind of fish it is, whether it is active swimmer, tuna, and all. So that all parameters are there on internet. Means research papers are there. Fish-based website is like consortium of all these parameters. They collect all the information from internet. So that also you can refer, and you always can contact us through this platform or directly also.
Thank you, sir. Suman has raised a hand. Suman, please unmute yourself and ask if you are there in the webinar. And yeah, please go ahead,
Hello.
Suman. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful presentation. Actually, it covered every detail. I'm actually associated with Wildlife Institute of India. So my work is related to conservation on abundant fishing gears. So I am also working with communities of fishermen community more closely. Just like I have one doubt, like in one of your slide, you mentioned that the stars organizations or celestial bodies contribute to the conservation. So how it is that means I couldn't get the background behind it or how it is possible.
What we can say, like celestial bodies, they are also in addition to this, like what you say, local, what you said, TV, Devta, they said. So they are like interlinked. That is what I came through literature. So like using them
So
are
mythological relevance type
mythological
that.
relevance. Yes, yes. I meant to say that.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. Sir, we have a question from Gaurav Kumar. He's telling, thank you, sir, for this insightful session. I would like to ask about Jagatpur wetland in Bhagalpur, Bihar, which is privately owned wetland of more than 1 acre and recognized as an important bird area with over 250 bird species recorded, including the migratory birds. However, the wetland is currently degrading due to heavy infestation of water hyacinth and migratory bird has declined. I don't know what is the question. That's the thing. Gaurav, if you can complete your question.
I think question is there. I'll read that.
Yeah,
He is
all right.
asking how can we apply the concept
how?
of wetland as a cultural landscape to effectively engage local community in the restoration and conservation of such privately owned wetland. So, Gaurav, what I can say, this is privately owned wetland. So there is like no as such like what do you say, incentive for such thing. But if you can, if there are any society or that can be convinced them. So like it can be converted for ecotourism or bird watching. That kind of they itself, the people who are owning this land, wetland, if they can, you can convince them or that how good it will be, because there are ecosystem not in this part of India, but in Kerala and all. If you go there, there are like what you say, they say you can capture the fishes there itself. You see the bird watching, and you stay there for a day. They you whatever you put hooks and you do fishing. So that is in the case of Kareem in the Eutroplus uratensis per sport fish. So that is what we also been a part of training there, where the organizer took us to that such place. So if such initiative can be, because it is not government, and if it is a private loan, definitely it can be done if the owners are convinced with this idea. That way only you can do.
Very true, sir. Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. Vandana Rani is asking, some agriculture farmland, especially of Haryana and Punjab, have been taking characters of wetland due to rise in groundwater level and increased rainfall. As farmers, farmers there use fertilizer at large scale to enhance crop yield. These man-made wetlands are causing biomagnification and bioaccumulation in floral and faunal communities succeeding here. Now, the question number 1, what effective causing on eggs or birds like wader and effective reptilian community as they need terrestrial area? Those lands cannot be used for fish rearing because of toxicants. For what purpose those can be used? How to convince landowners to promote their land as wetland?
So what we can say is that here the fishes cannot grow, means the water quality is going such a low this thing. So what you can do is here, like the plants like reeds or bamboo, if they can grow there, and such kind of like where they can absorb these heavy what you say nutrients and toxicants, and that way if it is giving anything and you can convince them, so where like cultural landscape can be developed instead of this. So our rotation farming can be done crop, then these can be reduced. And now there what happens no, in that part where you're saying they Haryana, Punjab, that problem is already there, and saline soil is also increasing there. So what sort of activity they are doing there, instead of doing any farming or they are stopping on that, they are converting that land for fish culture also, some part of the Haryana, where we also have our center is there in Rohtak. So they are taking continuously what you say consultancy, and there are professional players in that. It is very difficult to manage that because the professional also like advising them to convert that, and they are also kind of partners to doing fish farming in some area. So what we can do, some plants or tree we can grow there if such condition, if it is permitted. Otherwise, if I am sorry to say, if fish cannot survive, so it will be difficult for others also, other organisms. So there are types of fishes which can also grow there, but we need to check. And I think better we can first start with plantation.
Very true, sir. Thank you for the answer. And we have another question from Anita. How do we make the wetlands and human coexist? The original knowledge is depleting and not carried forward. It is in small pockets, fragmented all over the world.
Like what we say, we start from our own identity, and like it is of more of our own observation, like you whatever what you say, what kind of hobby you have, whether you are recording them, publishing, and giving importance of such things. And here in Mumbai, there are peoples. They are not any organization, but they are registered. What they are doing every month, they organize these sightseeing tours on the coastal sites. You have to register. They have their social media page, Instagram pages, and they take you on the like site itself, like what are the organisms are there, bird watching organisms like sea snail, and what is their ecological roles. And peoples are there interested over there for that also. So what we can say, a small effort from ourselves, if we either can make something like such things are there through social media or your friend circle, small changes from within, if it can initiate, that will take time, but definitely this can be the right away starting point. We should not depend on some government organization or someone will come and then it will start. The change will start from ourselves, our home, our circle.
Very true, sir. And that's what everyone should do as a message. Anupama is asking, in large reservoirs like Gobind Sagar and Pong Dam Lake, what are the challenges faced by aquatic fauna and flora, especially when these reservoirs are actively used for fish rearing by the fisheries department? Why have some reservoirs shown an increase in fish fauna, whereas Gobind Sagar has experienced a decline in fisheries despite continuous efforts by the fisheries department?
Yeah, so what happens now here, these reservoirs? So I was talking about on one slide on food chain. So that is one important aspect. So that if you remove large predators, the subsequent or what you say, the dependent trophic prey items will grow more, and that affects. So here, this Govind Sagar and Pong Dam Lake, no, there these fishes are there. It is not fishes are not there, but their native fauna was disturbed by the exotic fishes. Here, the Pong Dam is known for large catfish, which is scientifically known as vagaries. So that was supposed to be there, but there exotic fishes came, and this Gobind Sagar, silver carp, which feed on the planktons, very basic of this. So what happened? The native fishes has lost because of the what very basic what you say food chain. The carrying capacity will decided on that. So what happens? You need more of that your base biomass. And when scientifically you say whatever you eat on the higher trophic, it goes only 10%. So 90% lost in your physiological activity and everything where you say. So when such fishes are there in more in number, other fishes get less chance. And what happens? The it and such large dam, it becomes difficult to manage them, harvest them. So because of that are the you say these are the reasons. But what you can do if KGS like government is promoting now that if KGS are restricted enclosure cultures can be met, so that will become managed in the resources. Then in that case, you also need to feed them, have some input also. Naturally, natural ecosystem they are depend on the natural food chain. So there are these food chain related issues also are there.
That's very true, sir. Okay, Vandana. Okay, Vandana, do you have any other question? You can unmute and ask yourself. Vandana, you raised your hand, so you can unmute. If not, I'll read your question, which is put in the chat box. Sir, as you suggested, reed and bamboo for saline land in Haryana and Punjab. How about eucalyptus can be alternative?
Actually, I am not sure about this. What can be the, but we can try this. I don't have idea on that.
So actually, I have studied that eucalyptus is taking more of the nutrients from the soil, and when farmers are using fertilizers, so amount of nutrients in soil increases. So these eucalyptus plants or trees can, I think, also can be alternative because they take excessive nutrients from the soil.
Yeah. This in addition to that water hyacinth, it is also exotic weed, but that also known to have extract this more like already it is proven. So that plant is also there. So that also if you can try, and it is since it is invasive, means they are exotic and they can grow in any condition. With that, and the people are using that for making like handicrafts out of it. So these can also be one alternative where at least water, after that water can be used for any of the activity.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
We move on to next question, sir, from Samira. Afternoon, very rich discussion. Thank you for sharing. My question is, when benefits and cost of restoration projects are unevenly distributed, how do you manage this? In a recent project, a mangrove restoration agenda aimed with coastal stabilization and carbon sequestration in mind has negatively impacted traditional fishers. How do you prevent such uneven benefit distributions?
Here in Maharashtra, I don't know about other parts, but Maharashtra, there is a mangrove foundation, which is a separate together body under Ministry of Forest. So that only they looks after mangroves related issues, and they have very high resolution satellite images, like what we see in land. This thing, the revenue departments holds the all the their record like that. They hold the all this, and they also fund this kind of activity. So where they have the you have to contact them for such through society, not directly on these, but combination of mangrove plantation plus activity on crab fattening. So when you combine them, they fund here. So such kind of, I think, project, successful projects or project, it can be make motivation to other government. So, or it can be given reference. So it will be, that can be, such initiative can be taken for other places also. Here it is, they are working, people are working.
Thank you, sir. Suman has raised the hand. Suman, do you have another question, or we just forgot to lower the hand, which emoticon you have raised? Samira is saying thank you. Suman, are you having any another question?
No, I forgot to.
All right.
Raise my.
Thank you. Thank you. So, moreover, a lot of praises are pouring in the chat box for you. Thank you so much for such an amazing session. And before we depart, I would like to ask one question from my end. It is like, is really traditional ecological knowledge is always sustainable, or are we simply romanticizing where we should draw the line? That's my question. Like, are we just romanticizing the fact that we should go with the ITKs and the traditional knowledge? That's the best way to conserve nature, or where exactly the line should be drawn between scientific community as well as the indigenous technical people?
This is difficult to answer. Good question. And what I can say is that when you talk about increasing increase in all the pressure on the resources, we were not in position, or we never had any such kind of regulation management in the past when population was less and resources were more. So that time such regulation were not there, and people were simply by seeing the water foam or the kind of water quality, and they used to see even one plate or a steel plate, they can see the quality of the shining of water, and they can decide whether they should go for fishing or not. So that luxury was there when we see. But now when we see the more of people dependent on that this, and you whatever you tell, people are ready to go. If you tell these small fishes you are getting, you should not go or you should not harvest. But there are ready, like they said, if I will not go, that fellow will go. And that's how I think somewhere to have that memory, whatever ancient and the tradition pass on. And always they say the human has the memory, what triggers it with the scarcity of food, right from the ice age, where they were used to feed one large animal and keep it on their shelters, and used to feed on many days on that. So like our three basic needs, food is one of them. So what we can say, we can invoke or tell them, this is how you should remember, and you should not become a greedy. So that's where now that realize more. So scientific study along with this definitely will put them into some borderline that we should follow both the things. So it is like kind of effort to put into what you say, rather than only talking about science, making it holistic, that you were traditional views also, and what your father used to say, forefather used to say, that is also important, and somehow making it meaningful. If you not don't involve people and simply throw research paper and some idea, they may not give more response. So I think I will put it in that way. So it is a kind of necessity, and if it is solving problem, it is like Indian system or anywhere. If all combination work, we should go with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, sir. Because with that, we also need to modify our research methodologies and as well as the whole scientific approach, when we are trying to, in fact, as a researcher, I would say we need to recalibrate all our methodologies, at least personally me, if I want to go and work into that area. So thank you so much for such an enriching session. We are already beyond time. 5:30 we always closes, but your session was so enriching and knowledgeable that people are still staying till now. So thank you everyone who stayed till here till by this time. By it's already 6:15, and on behalf of GES, I would really like to thank you once again. And before we depart, I would like to share very one important information from Gujarati Ecology Society with all of you, because I'm sure. Allow me to share my screen. Okay, so is my screen visible? This is
Yes, madam.
the
Yes.
yeah. So this is for your students also, because we get applications from CIFE, and you can definitely share with all other participants. I mean, your students and participants who are still there in the webinar. Hasmuksha Memorial Awards are now open for applications for 2026. We have the sub themes. The applications are officially open. I would like to tell you that these are given in the two categories, the research categories and the practitioners category. The prize money is a cash prize award of 2 lakh rupees to each individual in research category as well as the practitioners category. And apart from that, there are 2 jury selection award for both the categories that counts for INR 50,000 rupees. So I really request, this is available on our website. You can go to our website and you can apply online, and please share the word, because a lot of a good research is going on in India at researcher and practitioners level, and definitely you should all get that recognition and effort, recognition for the effort and the time and the patience you all have been putting into the ecology. So this is just I wanted to share. Our next webinar will be again there on another ecological important day. And I'll just stop sharing this thing. And on behalf of GS, I thank you everyone, and thank you Karan sir so much for your time and energy, and for everyone who make this session so enriching, and participants who could do anything but they utilize the time to learn and grow. So big thanks to all of you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all. And I am available on that email ID. If anybody has any question or anything with me, they can always contact me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you on behalf of GS. So with that, we officially close the webinar. Thank you.